Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I am Mrs. Giovanni, and I am from the Discovery Cube and discoverycubeconnect.org, your online science connection. Now, we are continuing to celebrate the very tail end of Earth Month right now, and we're celebrating here live from the Discovery Cube. I'm here now to celebrate in a way that I think is really, really cool. We're going to figure out a sustainable way to reuse some old or unwanted t-shirts. But you might be thinking, what does sustainable mean? Well, sustainable just means that if we do something, it is not going to cause significant harm to our planet. So that is a really wonderful and helpful thing that we can do to celebrate Earth Month. So that's what we're doing today. If you popped into our YouTube live that we did last time, that was with Mr. R. He showed us how to make a self-watering planter out of some reused old plastic water bottle, which is really, really cool because normally we would just throw that away. And while Mr. R was sharing with us how to do that self-watering planter, he taught us about the 3 R's. And you might have heard about them before: recycle, reduce, reuse. And these things are helping us to avoid dumping all of our leftover stuff, our trash, just into landfills. And if you're wondering, Mrs. Giovanni, what's a landfill? Well, a landfill is literally just a hole in the ground that we fill with trash. It's not really that great for our environment. And that's why this week I'm sharing with you an additional R we're going to add to our list of the 3 R's and make it the 4 R's. We're going to add repurpose. What's repurpose? I bet you can guess, right? It's kind of in the name. We're literally going to take something that's old and maybe we would throw it away, but we're going to kind of transform it. We're going to do some different things to it so that we can use it now for a new purpose. And you might already be doing some of these things in your homes right now. Can you think of any ways that you've already started repurposing something that you had in the past for something that you're using now? Maybe an old can or something, you can put pens or pencils in it or something like that. There's probably a lot of different ways that you can think of that you're either already repurposing or maybe you'll repurpose in the future. And that's really cool. Well, like I said, this week we're going to be making a tote bag out of an old t-shirt. That's how we're going to repurpose it or change it to its new purpose. So we've taken an old t-shirt, we've cut it in different ways. It kind of looks like a tank top now, but we can see that this will work really good for the holes, literally the armholes that we can put our arms in now, but just use it in a different way and fill up with whatever we need to do. Maybe a grocery shopping tip. Now, normally all our stuff would just go right down the bottom of the shirt, but look, we closed it all up with these different ties that we did, and there's some different ways we can do that, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. So this is a really cool repurposing of an old t-shirt. We're going to turn it into a new tote bag so we can tote along anything we want to tote along. So for these materials, if you want to follow along with me, and I highly recommend that you do, I would love to know that you guys are doing this along with me. Just grab an old t-shirt. Make sure it's one that nobody still wants to wear, okay? Look in the deep back part of your closet that no one is reaching into right now and nobody's going to miss the shirts, okay? Or maybe you just have an old white t-shirt that has nothing on it that nobody really cares about. Bigger the better, because then you can put more stuff in your tote bag. And the other thing you'll need will be some scissors. I recommend fabric scissors if you have them, because we are going to be cutting fabric, but you can really just use any scissors that you have. Just make sure you're being safe and careful because they are going to be sharp. You might notice that when I get ready to do my tote bag, it has some lines drawn onto the bottom. I took a marker and went on to the bottom there so that I know where to cut, because we are going to be using our scissors to cut the bottom of our tote bag to make those knots. And you don't have to do that. if you're kind of the kind of person that goes with the flow and you like to do it your way and you don't really like to measure stuff, I get it. I can be like that too sometimes. So you don't have to measure those out. But the ones that we did here are about 2 inches wide and 4 inches high. So if you don't have a ruler to measure that, you can kind of take the top of your finger and go 2 knuckles down. That's about 2 inches, and just kind of figure that out. Your fingers might be smaller than mine, so you might give yourself some room. But the reason why you want to give yourself plenty of room on those lines is because those are going to be the strings you're going to use to tie together. And if you make them too short, it'll be really hard to tie your knots, okay? So make them about 2 to 4 inches long, and you'll have plenty of room to tie them together so nothing will fall out of your tote bag, okay? So those are the materials. Go ahead and go collect some now if you want to follow along with me. That's a great idea. And while you're doing that, I think I want to share with you a question that was submitted to us beforehand by a student in, it looks like this one's going to be from Miss Bassetti's class, and this is from Stephanie, okay? I'm going to read to you what she wrote here. She says, when did Earth Month start, and who celebrates Earth Month? Great question. Well, Earth Day was created first in 1970 when Senator Nelson from Wisconsin was inspired with the idea when student activists were hosting oil spill rallies. 2 political parties came together to help spread awareness of air and water pollution. Earth Day led to the establishment of the EPA. What's the EPA? The Environmental Protection Agency. So they're literally there to protect our environment. That's why they were created. It's a really great thing. Now, this led to the celebration and public awareness of Earth, our planet, and of course, climate issues globally around the world in 1990. Over 190 countries recognize and engage in Earth Day or Earth Month activities, which I think is really, really fun. It's something that I really care about, and I'm glad that we do. So really great question. Thank you for sending that, Stephanie. And now I think hopefully if you've gotten all of your materials that you're going to need for this activity, go ahead and get out your shirt, and you'll want it on a nice kind of open, clear space, a clear area, so that you can smooth out all of the wrinkles and everything. And we're going to get ready to cut, okay? So remember, once you cut, you can't really go back, but at the same time, everything is fixable. So if you cut something that you don't like and you're really sad about it, maybe you can stitch it back together in a certain place, or use fabric glue, or just start again and try with a new, different t-shirt, okay? So remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be awesome. Try your best no matter what. The first thing I'm going to do is cut around the collar of my shirt. This is gonna be where the bag is opening. That's gonna let me get all of my stuff into my tote. So this one here you see has a nice big opening, and that's because we cut the collar out nice and wide, and now I can fit all of my big stuff in there. So you are the engineer today, right? This is all about science. And as an engineer who designs and builds things, you get to design your tote bag the way you like it. So you don't have to do it the way I do it. Do it the way you want to do it. And if you want your tote bag opening to be kind of small, keep it small. If you want it to be a little bit bigger, make it bigger. You are the star of this show, and you do it how you want to do it. Ooh, this is going, it should be pretty easy. Right? Now, of course, it is helpful if you have a grown-up around if you're not the best at scissors. But again, remember, mistakes are no big deal, right? Everybody makes them, and hopefully we learn from them. That's a really important thing to do when you make a mistake. Okay, here I've got my collar open, and you might notice, Mrs. Giovanni, I think your collar is a little bit jagged. It is, it's a little bit jagged, but you know what? That's okay. It gives my tote bag a little bit of personality, which I love to have a lot of personality with my objects. And you know, it's just to hold my stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, it just has to be awesome. So I'm trying my best. I'm going to do it. If it's jagged, no biggie, Miss Piggy. All right, here I go. I'm going to cut my sleeves off. I'm following a line that I drew, but you can just follow the stitching line or the seam of your actual shirt that you have right there, right? It's up to you, again, yours. And you know what the cool thing I like about when I cut off the sleeves is I get to play in my imagination. Now, I know we're doing this tote bag project, but I can play in my imagination with all the different ways I might want to repurpose this sleeve. Maybe if it fits on my head, I can make it into a handkerchief. Or maybe I can sew the bottom of it and turn it into a pocket or something that I put in my purse or a coin purse. Get creative and think about what you might want to do with your sleeves once you cut them off your t-shirt. Okay, I'm going to cut the other one. So I have 2 handles for my tote bag. And you go ahead and do the same. Work your way all the way down and voila, now I can have 2 handkerchiefs or 2 pockets or 2 coin purses or whatever I want to do with my wonderful sleeves that I did right here. All right, and the bottom part, this is the part that I drew those lines on, and I'm going to take my shirt and turn it around closer to me so I can reach it, and I'm just going to cut right along those lines. Now, you might not have lines that you measured out or that you drew on there, and that's okay. So just kind of maybe put 2 fingers down and careful not to cut on your finger, but kind of measure it that way and go, okay, I've got 2 fingers apart. Boom, that's where I'm gonna do my cut. And I'm gonna go just about, like I said, 2 to 4 inches up, just enough so I can tie. And I'm creating these big kind of fringes. You see, they're kind of loose, looks like fringe. Yeah, that is what that's what I'm going to do. And I am cutting through both the front and the back of my shirt right now. I'm cutting through everything. So I'm not just cutting the top layer, I'm cutting both layers at once. And that way the fringe in the front and the back will match up when I'm ready to tie them together. Here we go, cutting away. How's your t-shirt looking? Are you following along with me? I hope so. I wish I could see your tote bags. I think that would be really cool because the cool thing I like about that is that they're all different. No matter who's making it or what you're doing, even if you measure, it's all going to come out just a little bit different. Nobody is the same, and that's pretty fun and exciting. I like that. Okay, as soon as I'm done cutting these fringes, I'm going to start tying them together. Now, you might have more fringes than me, and it might take you a little bit longer, especially if you struggle with tying things. But remember, take your time. There's no rush for this, right? And again, doesn't have to be perfect. Just try your best, take your time. And if it takes you a little bit longer than it takes me to finish my tote bag, that's okay. You can keep on making it while I'm talking with you and sharing with you all the different cool Earth Day things that we're learning about today. Okay, and I'm gonna start tying my knots. And while I start tying my knots, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out here. It's got some different information that I think that you would find kind of interesting. Has to do with why making our tote bag might be a really good activity for Earth Day. And part of the reason is because the average American sends approximately 80 pounds of used clothing